Hello and welcome to Unboxed, the podcast that dives deep into the world of custom packaging and innovative brand experiences. In each episode, we'll be exploring the latest trends, innovations, and best practices in the design and packing industry, and then taking a look at how they can help businesses like yours to create memorable and impactful brand experiences. I'm your host, Sam Johnston. Let's get started. I'm your host, Sam Johnston, and in this episode, we'll be talking to Josh Sizemore, a consumer brand CEO, advisor, chief executive officer at a kombucha company currently, advisor to numerous CPG brands, and overall an industry expert and legend. It's great to have you on, Josh.
Thanks. It's great to be here. I appreciate you having me, and excited to talk through, CPG stuff.
As always, that's awesome. We'll be doing a set of 5 questions so that listeners can jump to the right question if they're skipping through episodes and want to hear different perspectives on the same thing. So we'll chat to those, but the questions that we'll run through will be, number one, what inspired our guests today to get into the career and what inspired them to get into this specific field of expertise. The next one will be around how does custom packaging and product brand experiences contribute to creating loyal customer bases, and what are some of the most successful strategies that they've seen for that. The third one will be a chance for them to share any success stories or maybe some case studies of businesses that they have transformed or have seen transform through some branding, custom packaging, or any design exercises that have happened. The fourth one's going to be what are some of the biggest challenges or roadblocks that the business has faced, or businesses that he's been involved in have faced, and so specifically when it comes to custom packaging, branding, and brand experience and how they might have overcome those. And the last one but not least will be a look forward into how do they see the future of custom packaging and brand experiences evolve over the next, say, 5 to 10 years, and what could businesses like you be doing today to prepare for that tomorrow. So without further ado, we'll get stuck into the first question, which is, what inspired you, Josh, to get into your career, to get stuck into building brands, working with packaging and product businesses, and how did you get started in the field?
Yeah, it was an interesting story. So my career started in retail. I've worked very hard to get up to the C-suite level. And my last position was with a company called Shinola, and great brand. A lot of chefs in the kitchen. Navigating around those waters through the bureaucracy, I just kind of got burnt out. And about the time I was getting burnt out, I had an opportunity to move back to LA to kind of jump in on Original New York Seltzer, which was a big brand in the 90s, $200 million plus brand. And they were exclusively distributed by Anheuser-Busch. The owner got an offer to be acquired from AB, big offer. I think 150, 200 million. He decided to pass. So they pulled their distribution and that company went bankrupt. One of my friends and partners, he bought the company and called me and he was like, "You want to come out and help me figure this out?" So I said, sure. So moved to LA, just jumped in kind of head first and, learned the industry as I helped build that brand a little bit. And, hired the right people. We bought a bottling facility in Los Angeles, which is not an easy thing.
Yeah.
We set up distribution. That was the easiest part, which kind of jaded me a bit with further brands, because I learned that, new brands don't have the same effect and impact as old heritage brands that people know about. So this Original New York Seltzer had a huge following before they went bankrupt. They was in every distribution point, especially on the West Coast and Midwest. So it was very easy to get back into distribution, which was great for the brand. Hired an amazing president of sales, that took over the company when I stepped out. So that kind of, got my feet wet with CPG in the food and beverage space, especially beverage. And I was still on the board up until last July as we sold the company.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. But from Original New York Seltzer, actually, crazy story. We can, I'll save you, but it was a crazy story that got me a meeting with a university in Kentucky where I'm from. And through that meeting interview, I met another gentleman who owned this water source with a few other folks. And he was getting some, he wanted some advice from me about business, about his businesses. And he started talking to me about this water source that he had and this bottling facility that he had on the source. And I was like, this water looks amazing from the reports. I was like, you're full of shit. There's no way you have this and much water at this quality, right? Because I'm a health nut. So I thought I knew water and all that,
Yeah.
So he shows me the proof. We go, next day we go visit it. And so that night I create a full-fledged business plan, a deck, the brand name, the brand idea, the concept, everything. And I meet with him the next day and I'm like, look, this is how much money I need to do this. It took him about an hour to look through it, us to talk. And he said, yeah, we'll fund you. So, packed my bags from LA and moved back to Kentucky in about 4 days and just jump in straight head on first, all in with this brand that, would be Unified Water. And that brand was built around kind of doing good, kind of the Tom Shoes model. I mean, we had water that was quality of, Fiji, which was 7.8 pH from the source. We had 2 billion plus gallons a day. So we had more water than we could ever, do anything with. And we figured out that the economics around how do we give water to people, kind of in that one-for-one model. So we started partnering with NGOs and they would send us tanker trucks and we would fill the trucks up for free. And we could use that as marketing, to kind of propel the story. Yeah. And so we did that, and bootstrapped it to zero to about 100 million in 4 years. And unfortunately, I went through a bad divorce and had to sell the company at very prematurely and way too early. A lot of lessons learned during doing that. So, my heart was in LA. I love LA, I love the West Coast. So moved back to LA and started a company called CBD.com and with a few other folks. And we wanted to make the Amazon for CBD, right? And some, there was a lot of, and most of the CBD brands are a component of THC too. So, and it was kind of a gray area, so hard to navigate the marketing waters on social, on SEO, on Google. We done a really good job. We had over, I think we had over 2,500 brands on the platform. I mean, it looked exactly like Amazon. We partnered with hotels to create this great CBD branded box, and the brands on the platform could put their products in the box for an additional charge, but the margins were great. So it really, propelled the revenue. So we did that for a couple of years. I left to go to move north to San Francisco, still on the board. And then we ended up about 10 months to a year later, we sold the business to Snoop Dogg and High Times magazine, which was interesting. And it was literally 3 days before the governor of California came out and said CBD was fully legal. So we missed the boat. Another big miss on that one.
Did you end up sitting around the table with Snoop Dogg, and was he there in the team?
Yeah. I mean, we had met with Snoop and High Times because he's part of High Times. So he's a part of that, group. So we talked to him, met him a bunch of times. I actually went to a party in Beverly Hills where it was private, and he performed with Coldplay's lead singer. It was crazy.
Wow.
Side note, not important, but so I moved north to San Francisco, and what got me north was there was a gentleman who had been wanted me to come and run his business for, he owned 55 franchise locations of 1-800-GOT-JUMP. Definitely not something I saw myself in, but he made me an offer I couldn't refuse, moved north. So I ran that business as the president for few years. Super easy business, very turnkey. As long as we had a great general manager in a location, we would net 22-25%. So pretty unheard of, but at the same time, it wasn't
Nice.
CPG, it wasn't food and beverage. I wasn't passionate about it, and there was no innovation. There was, no strategy from a high level perspective to create, validity and enhancement, or an eagerness for the brand. It was very old school, here, do A and B and you'll get C, no doubt. So I sold my position in that last 2022 of February. And then in March of 2022, I started advising the CEO of Doritos for a few, probably 7-8 months. And so in October, I get a call or message from Joe Kurgis, who is one of the founders of a kind of a incubator platform / private equity that we met early on in my days at Unify, because he wanted me to be in one of his cohorts. And so I was just, at that time, I was just, thinking, grow. And I didn't really have time to take 3 months out and do their cohort, but it was great. He's great. So I got to know him. He reached out in October last year and he was like, look, we got this, Carry Foods created this powder that we can turn into kombucha, and Carry Foods is the largest ingredient company in the world. And, they had this powdered kombucha, and, they had an LOI with Coke. Coke was going to take it, expand it, and scale it. And something happened, it fell out. And so we came on board, and, we brought somebody in and, try to enhance the brand and expand it and scale it. And that person didn't work out. So I know you're a beverage guy. I know, you can probably help us. What do you think? I said, well, send me samples, right? So I'm I think I mentioned, I'm a health nut, and that's my stress reliever. So anything that's healthy and functional and makes sense for me in my day to day, I love. That's kind of how I think that's kind of where my why comes in. Is is it something that I use already, or want to use, or feel strongly about in my personal life, and can we make that a business opportunity? So they sent me the samples, and I don't like kombucha because of the taste. I know it's super healthy, but I don't, the taste is it just doesn't do it for me. So they sent me two samples, a lemon and a blueberry. I tried the lemon and I'm thinking, well, this is the same old shit. Tastes like vinegar, tastes like kombucha, not good. And then I tried the blueberry and it was instantly game over, game change. I was like, this does not taste like kombucha at all. It's smooth, it's refreshing, it's palatable. It's easy drinking and it's flavorful. Only has 2 grams of sugar, where most kombuchas are 12 to 22 grams. And I was like, this is a game fucking changer, because it's the value you get with this. It's easy to ship. You can build a business direct to consumer before you go to retail. Like all of it made sense. So I was like, yeah, this is the capital I need to get this going. What do you want to do? He's like, yeah, let's do it. So in October, I signed on, kind of revamped all the branding, kind of revamped, how we wanted to be portrayed in the public, revamped go-to-market strategy. And then I was we were ready to rock and roll by December of last year. But unfortunately, Carry Foods, they didn't have the product ready in time. So we were waiting on the product up until April. We finally got the product, and we just launched on Amazon about 3 weeks ago, and we sold out the first weekend, first set of products, and it's been going really well ever since. We haven't done any marketing yet. We're going to start really marketing heavy next week. So it should go really well. And then, we got 2 more flavors coming down the line, being commercialized from Carry as we speak. We have a watermelon and a berry hibiscus, and I've tried both and proved both, and both are exactly the same as our blueberry mint, which is palatable, refreshing, tasty, low sugar, and for 15 sticks in a container for $20. I mean, that's about $1 something a stick.
Great. Mm-hmm.
And when you're going to the market and you're paying $5 plus for a bottle, it just doesn't make sense. This makes sense,
Mm-hmm.
So we're targeting the kombucha drinkers, the healthy folks, but also the people that's never really thought about kombucha, and bringing them in because it tastes good, and then down the line, we'll do an iteration of an energy kombucha. We'll do an iteration of a calming or sleep. We can do many things because we have Carrie as a partner, and they can do whatever they want. So that's a big upside, and it's a big plus for us.
That's great. That's amazing.
Sorry for the long-winded
That's
answer.
good. Yeah, I feel like I learned something there. And I'm a kombucha man. Like I've tried to cut out soda a while ago and replace it with something that still gives me the fix that I want, but gives me a bit of a health kick at the same time. It makes me feel good about myself, physically and just emotionally. So I'm behind it. I need to get a pack of this and suss it out, because I'm the same, where the traditional flavors just don't do anything for me. But if I can mask that with something that actually tastes good, I'm off to the races. So
where are you located?
North Carolina, Charlotte.
Okay. Yeah. Send me your address and I'll get you something via Amazon shipped out today. That's
awesome. Yeah, we'll do that. Well, with all of this kind of context, and in particular this launch that you're doing currently, the next question, I think there's going to be some good insights here for the listeners. The second one is, how does custom packaging or product brand experiences contribute to creating a loyal customer base? And what are some of the strategies that maybe you're using currently or have used before that helped you to create that?
Yeah, so packaging and design is crucial and critical when thinking about your go-to-market. Because, and just a caveat, and it's only hypercritical in the US. Mm-hmm. I've played in other markets, I've played worldwide, and the US is the only place where visually appealing packaging and understanding is really important. So there's a lot of nuances, a lot of things to think about. Like, if your strategy is your go-to-market strategy is direct to consumer only, then it really doesn't matter what your core packaging is, because you can create a killer box, a branded, special messaging, to send to your consumer, and they're not going to care really what the packaging looks like, because they're buying it online. You can create digital renderings of whatever you want. But if your end goal is to get on the shelf in retail, you have to think about that in the beginning. And that's how it was with the kombucha that we're launching right now. Because in 6 months we will go into retail, and I had to think, well, how is this product going to stand out and be differentiated on the shelf compared to every other thing? So you have to make it beautiful, visually appealing. Size has to matter because there's not a lot of shelf space, so thinking about all those things, and then also what you put on the packaging really matters, because people love points of differentiation, or they just, they love to be up with the times, quote unquote. Yeah. Whether it be all natural, organic, low sugar, keto, whatever the fuck it is, you have to make sure those things are on the packaging and they're front and center to the consumer, because they have if they don't know your product, they have about 3 seconds to look at it to see like, oh, this is cool or it's not, Mm-hmm. So thinking about those things really is important, so package design is, that's 25% of the entire brand is around that. If your strategy, I would say, is to get into is to be on the shelves in retail. I
love that. Yeah, I think being able to mirror the tribe of consumer that you're going to sell this to, in particular when you're launching, like there'll be an early adopter group, and be able to mirror what's important to them on that packaging, so key. In particular, if you're on website or doing it digitally, you can represent that in other areas, maybe through video, through the branding on the site, through the messaging when you're reaching out originally. But if it's on the shelf, it's gotta show all of that instantaneously. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And the next question here is, and it might be relevant to some of the sort of turnaround stuff that you've done previously, but it is, what success stories or case studies, maybe from your previous experiences, have you seen where there's been a change to the brand or the positioning? And I'm sure packaging and other stuff comes along with that, but have you ever seen a pivot or a change in that area that's then led to success?
Personally, I don't think I have. I guess the best example would be, um, so when we first launched Unify, there was, you know, and this is my first brand, first startup.
Hmm.
So, and I was thinking health industry, fitness, like, so I think I put too much emphasis on my personal feelings or personal experience and thought process rather than the entirety of the consumer base of who would drink this water. So we had initially when we ordered our bottles, it was, we had two SKUs. We had a 20-ounce bottle and then a 1 liter bottle. So the 20-ounce bottle was going to be great for, everyday market, everyday gas stations, C-stores, whatever. And in my mind, the 1 liters was going to be amazing in fitness studios, exercise rooms, like hotels, like those places, hospitality environment. And just because my personal life was based around those things, I ordered, an abundance of the 1 liter and not enough of the 20-ounce, right? And I only had so much capital to use or put in this thing, right? So unfortunately, that's the mistake I made. Was I ordered too much of the 1 liter, not enough of the 20-ounce. We sold out of the 20-ounce like hotcakes, and we had all this inventory of 1 liter that we were slowly going through, but we needed that 20-ounce, and I didn't have enough capital to do it. So, I had to pivot or just, kind of make changes or, make moves to get the capital to reinvest, to get the 20-ounce, but if I hadn't have if I had done more, I guess, thought-provoking,
some market research or
more market research, more chats with people that have been there, done that, and learn from those things, then I wouldn't have had that issue. And something that I did learn throughout my process, that 4 years of Unify, was to, I'm a very, I'm a bit stubborn, but I'm confident. And everybody has egos, but it's something that I learned. You can't have an ego when you're an entrepreneur. You have to be willing to, not only take punches, but we be willing to just reach out and ask for help, and that's something that I got really good at doing. Maybe too good, because I asked for a lot of help,
That's all right. That's
in
good.
that time. And so I think that's one piece of advice, if I could give any entrepreneur, is like, don't be afraid to ask for help over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that really answered your questions, but that's kind of the best.
No, it's good. It's great. Yeah. And a lot of the listeners will be people in that stage of how do I bring this product to market? And maybe they've got some advisors, some mentors and that sort of thing. But yeah, I think sometimes you can feel like other people are busy and, maybe they've got their own things going on. But my experience has been, if you ask and you're actively grinding and doing good things in your day to day, and they can see that you're passionate and they can see that you're the sort of person that's going to put their time to use, if you ask, they're more than willing to help most of the time.
Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%.
Well, maybe there's a couple of tangible pieces here in that. What are some of the challenges or roadblocks that you're facing, maybe even now with your current product launch, when it comes to finding the right packaging, building the right branding, and what the brand experience around the product that you're taking to market? What are some of those challenges and how are you overcoming those?
Yeah, so we're going through some challenges at the moment. So again, I don't know if I thought fully about this, but when I was thinking about how do I put my, sticks, what do I put my sticks in, that's going to stand out on the shelf? And I didn't want to do a tea box, cardboard box. I wanted something that stood out. So I came up with this container idea, and in my mind, I'm like, well, they have containers at Starbucks, containers here. Like, there's got to be co-packers everywhere in the U.S. that has these containers, right? Okay, well, that's mistake number one. Because unfortunately, there's very few people that in the U.S. that manufacture these containers. So my initial orders came from China, which was great because it got a great cost. Our current stick co-packer is in Minnesota. So, right now we ship our containers to him. He fills the stick packs with the powder. He puts the sticks in the container, and then they ship them for us to Amazon, which is great. But we're trying to figure out a kind of an all-in-one solution that can create the containers and do the stick packs, put them in the containers and ship everything in one. That's kind of where we're having a roadblock right now, because, and just to be transparent, I didn't know that in China there's no recycling protocol that ensures that your products, whether it's cardboard or plastic, are recyclable. Well,
yeah,
it turns out that the product we're currently using, it's cardboard feel, but there's a lot of plastic in it, so you can't recycle it, which is unfortunate, so, there's a couple things we're going to do to fix that. I think, one, if we have to go back to our China manufacturer, they've already told me that they do have the cardboard that is recyclable. It's a little bit costs a little bit more. That's fine. It's still way less than what we found in the US right now. But we also do have folks that's working diligently to try to find us a co-packer manufacturer that can create these containers for us at a minimal cost. I understand it's going to be a little bit more than our China, and that's fine because our margins are good here. But there's give and take, so you have to figure it out. So that's a hurdle. That's good. That's kind of a roadblock we're at right now, but we're trying to maneuver around it, get over it.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's good to hear something that's in the grind, that's happening currently, that's active. Well, something else that might help the listeners is if we were to look ahead, and the listeners are coming at this from a brand and packaging perspective, but there's a product angle to this as well. There's a lot of stuff going on within kind of connected packaging and the additional experiences that you can offer somebody through the packaging itself or through the product when they physically have it in store. But from your experience, from what you know of the market and what you're seeing happening, how do you see the future of custom packaging and maybe brand experiences evolving over the next 5 to 10 years? And what should businesses or business owners be doing today to stay ahead of that curve?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think a lot of brands, and just kind of the mantra is going toward like carbon footprint data, and how big is your carbon footprint, or how small is it, what's impacting the environment. It's always what's impacting the environment. They just figure out, and when I say they, I just mean the kind of the totality of the consumer base. We just think of these things to okay, well, we've overcome all this organic, combustible, recyclable, compostable, all this stuff. Now what else can we do? Right now it's carbon footprint. How are we going to have a great carbon footprint? So, I think that's going to be kind of tracking for the next 10 years. So any listeners that are, looking at packaging, looking at how they can impact the environment with packaging and being sustainable, I would kind of look at that. And I know there's companies out there that can dive into to your overall business and tell you your carbon footprint. So I think that's a big one. As we grow, we'll get into some of that too, and put those metrics out there when we get so big. But I just think it's something to be aware of, and kind of just keep an eye on as you grow, and then know that when you get to X amount, there's going to be a lot more eyeballs on you. So just be ready and prepared with how you're going to overcome some of those criticisms. And there's always criticism, but just be authentic about it, and you'll be fine.
That's great. Yeah, you don't have to solve all of those problems today, especially if you're starting off. But it is good for consumers, maybe for investors or whatever your funding sources are, to show that here's some steps, here's some things that we're going to do over the next 5 to 10 years that are going to give us answers so that we can move in the right direction. But it can be overwhelming sometimes if you've got this amazing product, it's great, and then you've got all this peripheral stuff that you have to be thinking about, which can seem like a distraction from just getting to market and getting the product in the customer's hand. But sometimes like the agencies or the partners that you're working with, some of them will have a leaning or an orientation towards that. So picking your partners based on their abilities in these fields, whether it's like RFID tracking, if it's the environmental, eco-friendly type packaging angle, there'll be partners out there that you can be working with that can be thinking of those things for you. And that's really where that added value support comes in. So if you're on your own, you're doing it on your own, and you want to do that, make sure you have some steps in place that you can keep an eye on it. And if you're not, and you want to go down an agency route, pick an agency that has those angles that can support you, and that is actively looking ahead.
Yeah, it's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. Like I agree 100%. And just it's when you I think you brought up, you said something that's really key here, is just get the product in the customer's hands, right? Just whatever you can do. You can always pivot or edit or maneuver through your next round of product to make it better, right? There's going to be iterations through all the steps. When you're $10,000 in revenue, when you're $1 million, when you're 10 million, when you're 50, when you're 100, like this, everything's going to change throughout those steps. So the quicker you can get your product into customers' hands, the better off you'll be, because you will have so much more feedback and understanding of how your product really affects, the consumer.
Love that.
And that's what, that's kind of what we're doing. And like I said, we're doing well on Amazon. We have a partner that runs our Amazon for us and manages it. And they also run $400 or $500 million brands on Amazon. And they said they've never seen two things. They've never seen, sales as quick as ours. And then they've never seen as many reviews positively as we have.
That's great feedback.
That's great. Yeah. We love that, that's what keeps me up at night, is consumer interaction, consumers, if they truly love your product, we got hit for a couple like 3-star reviews from folks that loved the product but said, something about nutritional facts. I was like, those are rookie moves that I made mistakes, right? That I didn't trust. I trusted my co-packer enough to, he told me that, yeah, we have the ingredients on the sticks, and then they were not on the sticks. So, so those things are rookie moves, and we'll fix them. We'll fix on the next round. So just remember, you can always. Most things are overcomable, and you probably won't make a mistake big enough that's going to take you out of business. Mm-hmm. Be authentic with yourself, with your audience, and you'll be able to overcome so many things.
That's great. There's been so much good advice in this, Josh. Thanks for spending the time here with us. And that is it for this episode of Unboxed. So we want to give a big thanks to Josh for giving his time. I think there'll be some amazing bullet points that we'll draw out of this as well, so listeners can get those expertise easier. But if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe to our podcast. Leave us a review wherever you're listening to it. It means a lot to us and the robot overlords that control the algorithm. And if you have any questions for Josh, how can people reach out to you? Obviously, it needs to be appropriate questions, not just we love the t-shirt, but how do they get in touch?
You can, contact me via Instagram, Joshua Sizemore, and email if you'd like, Josh Sizemore, the number 1 at iCloud.com.
Perfect. We'll make sure we put the Instagram link there in the notes. And if you have any questions or comments for us or suggestions for future episodes, or you'd like to become a guest on it, you can email us at unboxed@merchantboxes.com. And until next time, keep thinking outside the box and creating unforgettable brand experiences. Bye. Thank you for listening to today's episode. It was sponsored by Merchant Boxes. Merchant Boxes provide custom packaging to large businesses and small creators that customers love. If you are looking for award-winning custom package designs that make your business and products stand out from the competition, click the link in the show notes to find out more.